Okay, so I set it up. It's not as swish as all the TikTokers and the YouTubers that I've seen, but it's as good as it's going to get, because I probably get better as I carry on making these videos. But there he is. There's Mr. Pumpkin Man bag template all printed out, and I've cut him off the page so that you can see him clearly. And then basically what you've got to do is cut along the top, leave a tab along the side, cut down that side by the picture, and then along the bottom, that's going to be the bottom of the bag, so you need to leave a bit of room along there as well. So this is going to be slightly difficult with this thing, so I'm going to line him up. You're not being able to see my ear. Okay. And then cut. And there's the top done. I usually leave a little bit of room on this side for the tab, so I'll cut down there. What I do, if I want to cut a straight line, I use the top of the ruler and line it up against the top of the paper, and then cut like that. And the other side, don't need a tab. If you do accidentally forget and just cut all round the picture, which I have done in moments of lapses of concentration, what you can do is just stick the bits back on from the back with sellotape. So all is not lost if you do that. Slightly annoying, but you can salvage the situation. I will show you what I mean later. And then the bottom of the bag, kind of make it as wide as the sides, but it's, you know, just eyeball it really, and that's not actually straight, that bottom, but again, that doesn't matter. Now you're going to cut some of this off. You can just, I think, use the whole of that as the bottom, but I tend to just cut so that I am using just the card that's under the big pictures, and I get rid of the sides. And you can see where the side is. You can kind of see where the one image finishes and the other one starts. So that is going to be the side. There's the other line there. There's another line. You can see, if you look carefully, what you're doing. But that's one reason why it's quite useful when you start out to use a definable image. So I cut down there, and then I cut all the way along from the bottom of the bag. So I've got that kind of a shape there now. I haven't done that very well. It's actually quite difficult. The focal range of this thing is just, so I can't wear my glasses because I'm out of focus, but I can't see very well. I'm just going to get that little white bit off there, like that. And then I'm going to get rid of the other side, and I'm just going to do that by eye. You see what I'm doing? Yeah, I'm going to cut down there and down there. I mean, if you're not used to using a very sharp craft knife, basically all you've got to do is worry about the hand that's not on the knife. So you just make sure that the hand that's not on the knife is well out the way of the blade the whole time. And if you start feeling impatient or hungry or tired, do not use your craft knife. Right, so then you end up with this. And as usual, I have forgotten to tell you of a piece of equipment that you need, which is a scoring tool. I have got this that I've had 25 years, and I have no idea where I got it from. You could probably just use a pair of bluntish scissors and a ruler. but something that to score thin lines on. I should think you can pick these up for pence on Amazon, scoring tools now, because people are doing card making big scale, aren't they? So there's going to be stuff like this around. And you now need to score down here, all the sides of the bag really, and along the bottom. And you can do it with a ruler. I'm going to do it by eye because using the ruler from that focal distance is quite difficult. And I can see where I've got to go. So I'm just scoring here and then along the bottom. And then turn it over and you can just check you've got everything scored that needs to be scored there. And then you just fold it. It's making a box basically without a lid. Press it down, press the folders down. And then you can see you're beginning to make the bag. Now the next thing to do is glue it, and of course I'm ready with the glue, so I'll just get myself something to put my glue on. Tommy Cooper moment, number 453 probably. And that was a don't do as I do, do as I say mem. I left my craft knife open on the table. Just shut it up. Right, so I'm using my Aliens tacky glue, and I've had this pot probably about 2 or 3 years. So I think I need to get another one because it's becoming difficult to get it out. Come on, glue. Because it was fine earlier on when I was making the ones I've already made. Here it comes. Right, so we've got a bit of glue. And then you need to put glue down on one side of this, one bottom bit, and down the side. Oh, you know what else you can do? What you can do is if you just cut a tiny slither off there, I usually do this with my craft knife before I've glued it, like that, because sometimes that bit kind of pokes out the top somehow. So there you go. And then you fold it over, fold that bit kind of on top. Be guided by the sides rather than the bottom, because if you haven't been precise on the sides, it doesn't matter. But you need that to be at a right angle. And then fold that one in. Yeah, you can see that that's kind of not, that's poking up a bit at the top there. So what you can do there is just kind of what I tend to do is just sort of angle it so it doesn't notice so much. There you go. He hasn't got the top of his head now, but, well, the top pokey bit, he's got his head. There you go. That's your box. And now you need to do is make the handle. The handle was causing me issues when I made this to sell, but I've been watching a lady called Gretchen, Little Gretchen's Workshop on YouTube. She's brilliant. I just love her. She is so funny. I'd really recommend it. She's got some great tutorials, and she also has these little series for her dolls, and it's just hysterically funny. I just really like it. She's a lovely lady. So what she did when she was making a bag, I think she was making one of Julie Warren type shopping bags. She cut 2 little bits of card. Now you kind of just, or paper or whatever. I just measured it a little bit so that it's obviously going to have to fit in the bag. And then get my find your string, which has disappeared on the table. Oh, I put it back in. I shall use this orange paper string. You can use ribbon, use thread, wool, whatever would make a handle really. And I tend to kind of just put it over my finger and then snip it. So I kind of got a handle shape. I can see sort of how big that's going to be. And then with this paper string, you only want one strand of it. So you unravel it, and you've obviously then got two bits that are the same length, which is always helpful. Just straighten it out with your finger so that it's not all crinkled up. And then you can either glue it or tape it to the card. And I shall do one of each method. So just put 2 globs of glue. I'm going to have to sort out the focal distance for this for next time. This is weird. I feel a bit like you do when you get like bifocal glasses or something. Right. Very focal, isn't it? People say it makes their eyes go weird. So it's a nightmare in some respects. It's very fiddly. So make sure you're not doing it when you're in a bad mood. Hold one down and then hold the other one down. It sometimes helps if you put a globule more glue back on it. Like that. There you go. You've got a handle glued onto a card, and you have to really wait for that to dry a bit before you can do anything else with it, which is why the tape method comes in a bit handy. So use a bit of tape. Bend the, I just use my finger and bend it round to get shape, and then stick it on. And it's not particularly easy, but it can be done. You just have to kind of take your time. But you can see why I was moaning about the handles of these things. And then just stick that. Then I usually just go round there and then clip it off. Clip off any excess. Now the good way about doing it like this is it doesn't have to be perfect, because this bit will all be hidden. There we go. We now have 2 handles. And then you basically glue them to the inside of your bag. Now, I like to put them quite far down and put glue all the way up like that. So you can put that in there. I did try doing this with double-sided tape, but it means that you can't manipulate them very well, and you can just kind of squidge it about and decide how big you want your handle to be. And if it's not quite centred, you can centre it. There's that handle, and I'm going to leave the other handle because it's still wet. And if I try and pick it up, it may, it's going to rebel. So we'll leave the other handle there. We'll just pretend it's on, and then a piece of tissue paper. Obviously when your other handle is glued on, but you put, once that glue is dry, you just put that handle on in exactly the same way. And then let's have a small strip of tissue paper, orange here. That's probably a bit big. I might just fold that over, and then kind of concertina fold it. I'm not very good at this. By this stage in the game, I've after the handles, I just kind of want to go and have a cup of coffee and forget about it. I tend to make a few and then come back and do this. So there you go. And then you just stick that in there. And there you have it. You have a gift bag. I hope that was clear. Sorry about forgetting to mention the scoring tool. And do let me know if you have any questions. Thanks for watching. Bye.